Hello, friends.
Hi.
Look who's here.
Hi, everybody.
Three of us.
It's the triple threat, Kathy, Mark, and Burke. It's excited to be
The
back
whole
together.
hee-haw gang.
Oh, gee.
Yeah.
BR 549.
Hey.
Hey,
Yeah.
so trailer reactions, we love doing them. This one's for something a little bit different. It's a 4-part series that's coming to Netflix on Valentine's Day, February 14th. And it's about
Fittingly.
the Indian filmmaker Yash Chopra. He's the guy that started the Yash Raj Film Studio, which is the huge, studio in India.
And this is really good timing, actually, because YRF also just released Pathan, which has become a major, huge hit.
Right.
First big hit of the year for the this studio, and actually in a lot of Hindi films. So huge hit.
It's a huge hit. It's making it's not a lot of theaters, but it's making big money. I think it was second last week behind.
And we did Mark
Avatar
and I did
something.
on the site review of this. It was very fun. I loved how we were doing the review, and this person walked up and asked us where a certain bar was, and we're like, "Hello, we're doing something here." Okay.
Where's Barney's Beanery?
I know. We're like, "Do you not see that we're okay?" So I left a little bit of that in there, but you guys can check that out. It was.
This is kind of this movie. I don't know much about this, but it's about the film business, right? It's a movie about movies.
Studio. This producer.
It's about this producer, director, and this studio, and all. It's 35 of the biggest Hindi stars, people we all recognize.
Oh,
and if
they're
they're
actually in it, playing themselves.
They're being interviewed.
Playing themselves.
Yes. It's just an interview, and it's directed by Smriti Mandra, who created Indian Matchmaking, which is a huge hit here in the U.S. And she did this 4-part series. So it's something different, but it's kind of interesting for us to see these Indian actors who we just see in movies actually, acting them as themselves and talking about the industry and how this particular person helped their career.
Yeah. So it's not a narrative or anything. It's a documentary series.
It's a documentary
series.
Oh, okay. I was thinking it was like maybe a movie about making movies. Okay, but it's actually it is a documentary about the film industry. So it's
called The Romantics. Perfect for Valentine's Day. So let's take a look.
Yeah.
All right.
I've proven that I know nothing about this.
First time seeing it.
Yeah. Are we ready?
Yeah. Hold on. Whoops, sorry. Okay, go ahead.
What do you think about the term Bollywood?
No, I don't like that word.
Hear it. So 35 people to interview, huh?
Yeah, at least.
Rolling? I don't know what I'm in for, but let's go.
Films that come out of India are completely unique to our culture. They don't try to be like anybody else.
I watched all those beautiful movies, but it was Yash Chopra's cinema that caught my eye.
He was this young director wanting to make different films.
It's the drama, action.
But for me, Yash Chopra stood for romance.
Yash made such great films. His sons were very much involved in the process.
There was a gentleman always standing next to Yashji, his son, Adi.
My brother was very clear that he wanted to be a filmmaker.
It was the first time I saw Western and Indian culture kind of merge together.
It was very clear that there was going to be a kind of a generational shift now.
I wanted to be the actor who talks about the modern Indian woman, and he believed in my talent.
He said, I decided after your first audition that I was going to launch. I said, how? Nobody else saw it. Only he saw it.
He said, look, just stick to it and I guarantee you'll have a hit film.
Adi shaped the contours of our industry.
What would you say if I told you we interviewed him extensively?
What? Ditya Chopra is a rumor. He doesn't exist.
He's very private. He hates going out.
He's never been What was his last interview, like 20 years ago?
That's a big one.
Okay, let's go, guys.
There's nothing that fascinated me more than Hindi film.
We are definitely a force to reckon in the world as far as cinema is concerned.
Or cinema is an inherent part of Indians.
Yashji told me once that this is who we are and this is what we are here to do.
That looks great.
It does look great. I have to take a little bit of issue with them saying they made movies unlike anyone else when they're redoing and remaking a lot of other movies from other languages. I'm just saying. I just want to put that out there that they did remake Vikram Vedha, which was I'm just putting it out there. But I do love these movies.
I think
I like that they're going back to the old stuff, the older films too, that's the ones I think I'm more familiar with than a lot of the modern things, because I remember I used to go to the theater that was showing here in LA a while back, like many years ago, with a friend of mine who knew everything about Indian films, back in those days. And we used to go see these old, they were called Bollywood. That was what everybody was calling them. And it was all the song and dance things, and a lot of them had kind of a religion. There was they showed a lot of the religious films too, which were really interesting to me, and surreal, beautiful images just flowing out of the screen. It was amazing. And then there's a great song, and the music. They were older films that we saw, so this looks like it's going back in time to like the origins of what everybody knows now is a huge film industry in India. That's like in bigger deal than Hollywood in a lot of ways.
He was making movies in the 70s and 80s and the precursor to the stuff today. And so you see a lot of these SRK and John Abraham and all these stars that sort of got their start with him. So he's sort of this grandfather figure that doesn't want to be interviewed. And I think the big hook is he's going to be interviewed by her.
Right.
I know. I think it's funny. They didn't even show him in the trailer, which makes it even more
that's great.
serious. Like, did they actually interview him? I love that. There's some suspense.
There was one.
Also, I thought
there was a silhouette person in there. Is that him?
I don't know. I didn't. I was trying to look for him, but I just saw the old photos of him or the old videos of him from maybe 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting how they started off with everyone hates the term Bollywood.
Yeah.
Don't use it. Don't use Bollywood. Like, and we usually call it Hindu, Hindi or Hindu is what we prefer, even though I guess Bollywood's based on Hollywood and Bombay. And now, it's not nice. So, it doesn't even really apply technically. So now it's like you call out the languages of the films, which I think is probably better, because everyone who comes into Indian cinema, and us included, I thought Bollywood's just Hollywood. This is the name of their movie industry in the whole country, but that was totally wrong. Everybody has their own
and the whole thing of Bombay being the word, that's kind of an outdated. It's sort of like Thailand used to be. People say Siam, Anna and the King of Siam.
Yeah.
But Thai people, it's like that's the old name of the old. And they pronounce it Siam. So it was like, Siam, that's many, many years ago. It's now called Thailand, and Mumbai, is So Bollywood has got a couple of layers of don't use this term anymore.
I think what's interesting about this is for people like us that are still, we've been into India cinema for about a year, but there's so much history that we just can't.
So much.
We can't absorb it. But if you watch something like this, a 4-part series, you're going to get a lot of fill-in information, which will make it interesting. The backstory gets filled in, which I find fascinating.
Yeah, and I've been kind of going back and seeing some of the old SRK movies. Like, because the one thing, we're doing a lot of current films. We're not looking at a lot of really, really old films. And I noticed a lot of scenes from some SRK films in there. And now I'm starting to feel a connection to it, because now I'm kind of getting it, he kind of helped build that studio in a way, because he had a lot of those huge hits. So, that's kind of fun to see that, because they do have that more colorful, more entertainment driven type, layout, I guess you'd say, or concept.
Yeah. It's like every frame is full of something, there's no wasted film,
It's pure entertainment. It's like, we're going to entertain you for 2.5, 3 hours in the cinema, with an intermission and singing and dancing and now a lot more action and,
action,
kind of
romance.
So it looks like a really fun documentary, and something I'll learn something from.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see it, because again, lots of familiar faces. I love that I now know a lot of the people involved, and that makes me feel. And now I'm going to get a deeper understanding of their careers and how they all started. I'm very interested in seeing that.
And what's interesting too is the music. That's one of the things I liked a lot about the, back. I guess it was like the '90s or the early 2000s when my friend was taking me, to these Indian films, and I saw a ton of them and loved them, but a lot of times they didn't have subtitles, and they weren't dubbed or anything. So I'm just sitting there going, okay, I'm just watching the visuals. But then, of course, when the music comes on, a music and dancing part, and like that music is the universal language. So suddenly it was like, okay, I'm here for this, I could get this.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I got really into the music, and there was actually a record store where you could buy, records. And I actually have a few soundtracks to older, I guess 60s or 70s Indian films on vinyl. So
nice.
Pretty
We'll
cool.
bring those out one of these
I go
days.
way back.
Yeah. We'll have a dance party.
But YRF
That's
it's a huge studio because it has like the Tiger franchise, which they paid tribute to a little bit in Pathan when they had Salman Khan come in, and they talked about the old guard versus the new guard in that little post credit sequence. And he did War, which was one of the first movies I saw, and I saw a clip of they showed a little bit of dancing from that scene in War. And there's a lot of movies in here. Now I want to go and start really checking out YRF because apparently that's like where all the cool movies are. If you're gonna look at Hindi films, I'm gonna check those out.
I think there's the big budget stuff comes from him. When it's a big budget movie, like you said, War, the Doom franchise, YRF is, and same with Pathan. So obviously a big money maker. So just as how that all started is is interesting to me. So something to check out. The Romantics, a 4-part series coming to Netflix on Valentine's Day. We'll check it out. And
so stay home. Don't go out to dinner with your girlfriend. Watch this documentary.
Get
Watch
a witness
TV
sampler.
instead.
Go crazy.
Watch TV and have takeout. That's how you
because
should spend your Valentine's.
that's romantic.
It is romantic.
It is.
All right. That's how I spend my favorite.
I think I'm going to watch this. I'm going to learn something.
We're gonna learn, and then we'll do a review of it. We'll talk about it.
We sure will.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.